Okay. It being 6:30 p.m. on April 17th, I call this meeting of the Brockton Conservation Commission to order. This meeting is being conducted remotely in accordance with Governor Healey's open meeting provisions updated on March of 2023, which extended certain COVID-19 changes until March 31st, 2025. Real-time public participation and comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing the Zoom virtual meeting software for remote access. If you wish to comment during a public input portion of the hearing, please use the raise your hand function to be addressed to the appropriate time. For those of you joining by phone only, please press *9 to raise your hand. Please note that all comments made are public record and should be made in a way that is respectful of others. Should personal or inflammatory remarks be made, the host reserves the right to mute the speaker. A copy of this recording will be posted to the City of Brockton's webpage. All votes will be done via roll call to ensure count accuracy. In order to establish quorum, I ask that each commissioner state your first and last name for the record. Thank you. Quorum has been, oh, I'm sorry. You guys state your names too.
Peggy Curtis.
Sharifa Mapp.
Lily Green.
And Ruby Clay. Quorum has been established. Please note that discussion of all agenda items shall be limited to 15 minutes each to ensure timely progress through tonight's agenda. And before we begin the agenda, I'd like to announce the continuances. The following agenda items have been continued at the applicant's request to our May 15th meeting and will be addressed, will not be discussed this evening. And the following continuances are 166 East Ashland Street, notice of intent, 511 Thatcher Street, notice of intent, 137 Perkins Ave, notice of intent, 155 Winthrop Street, notice of intent, 45 Industrial Boulevard, notice of intent, 19 Otis Street, notice of intent, and 82 Ames Street, notice of intent. And we also have 2 additional continuances that will happen on June 19th meeting. And that will be 0 East Ashland Lot A and 0 East Ashland Lot B. And then commissioners, I assume that you guys have read the minutes for the meeting on March 20th. Are there any questions or comments?
There's just one typographical error of my name on page 4. My last name was spelled incorrectly. But other than that, I don't see any questions.
Okay. I entertain a motion to, or do I hear a motion to accept the minutes for March 20th?
I make a motion to accept the minutes from March 20th.
I second it.
Okay, motion to accept the minutes for the last meeting have been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green, I.
Mapp, I.
Clay, aye. All right, and for the next agenda item, we have the Conservation Commission filing information and regulations, and Kyle, you'll walk us through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have one comment, if I may, Madam Chair,
Sure.
about the agenda tonight. It was pointed out to me that I made one error on the status of one of the agenda items. It's not one that we're discussing this evening, but agenda item number 10, which is the 45 Industrial Boulevard Notice of Intent. I incorrectly listed the status of this project, so I want to, for the record, update the commission and the public here on what that actually is. So the correct status for this project is we are waiting on the applicant to respond to Beta's peer review, which was dated March 29th, 2024.
Okay.
And then moving on to the Conservation Commission filing information and regulations. This might sound familiar to anyone that's been tuning in. We adopted a different version of this document in March, and so here we are back at it again. Basically, the difference between this month and the document that we already voted on and approved last month was the director of the planning department asked me to include some new language detailing how the commission will go about securing consultants in the future. So we have included new language in the commission, well, in this document. The document that is on the Google Drive for the commission, all the new text is in red. Obviously, when we finalize this draft, that will be in plain black text, but it basically just details how the commission through the planning department will procure those consultant services in the future. And I basically pulled this exact language from the planning board's document that details this. And I just changed out Conservation Commission rather than planning board, and I made no other changes. So it's exactly what the planning board's using currently.
Okay, and we need to do a roll call vote on this.
Yes,
changes.
to accept the April
Accept
version
these.
of the
Okay.
Brockton Conservation Commission filing information and regulations document.
Okay, so in lieu of that, I like to make a motion to accept the new changes to the Conservation Commission's filing information and regulations that Kyle just mentioned, and if we could have a roll call vote on that.
Curtis, I.
Green eye.
Map I.
Clay, aye. So are we good with that now, Kyle?
Yeah, I believe so. Thank you.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is part of the new filings, and this is for the Eversource Brockton Gate Station Modernization Project. And hold on one
Yeah, there are
second.
a few people in the attendees list that I'm going to go ahead and promote up to speak
Okay.
to this project. If I miss you and you're in the attendance list, please raise your hand and I will promote you. I know there are a few people in there.
Hello, may I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead and try. If you are unable to, let me know and I will fiddle with the settings. But yes, please.
Okay, do you see a blue screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So hello, my name is Paulina Saffron. I'm with SWCA and I'm here with Jennifer Bottaro, who should be here, and Anna Huberty from Eversource Energy. And we are here representing Eversource Energy, who has submitted the notice of intent application for the Brockton Gate Station project. So there are three main components to this project. The first is making improvements at the existing regulator building in the form of installing instrument panels and a canopy over the panels. The second is removing about 680 square feet of existing paved surface and installing a generator and communications building surrounded by a chain link fence. And the third is placing a direct bury electrical conduit and fuel gas line below ground, connecting the communications and generator building to the existing systems. And the project spans 3 adjoining parcels: 0 Oak Hill Way, 119 Sergeant's Way, which are owned by Eversource, and 20 Oak Hill Way, owned by Enbridge. So the work is proposed within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland only. A small portion of the work is located within the locally regulated 25-foot buffer zone and no touch zone, and there are no other resource areas within the project area. No riverfront area, no floodplain, no priority or estimated habitats, or nurse certified or potential vernal pools. So here is an aerial view of the map. The outline in red is the location of the project area. I don't know if you could see my cursor. The wetland W2 that I'll be referring to is right down here. The yellow line is the surrounding the wetland. That's the 25-foot buffer. The purple line is the 50-foot buffer, and the green line is the 100-foot buffer zone. The construction entrance will be right over here, which is the main entrance to the facility. And the thick yellow line that's right over here, that it depicts the erosion controls that will be installed prior to the start of work and will be there until the duration of the project. So like I said, there's the project consists of three main components, and I'll briefly go through each of them. The first is the installation of the instrument panels on the southern side of the Eversource regulator building, located inside the fenced-in Enbridge facility. This work is between the 50 and 100-foot buffer zone, and it qualifies as a minor buffer zone activity. And the black box right here is the location where the instruments will be installed. The second component is the installation of the generator and the communications building. This will be installed with Eversource saw cutting approximately 20 feet by 34 feet wide existing pavement and excavating it. And they will be excavating the area using a vacuum truck, which works exactly how it sounds. It kind of sucks up all the soil into this big container, and it'll be hauled off site. And then the area will be backfilled with about 4 feet of crushed stone wrapped in geotextile fabric. On top of that stone, they will be installing 2 concrete pads, a 9x4 pad for the generator and a 9x9 pad for the communications building. And to protect the generator and communications building, a chain linked fence will be installed surrounding the entire crushed stone area. After the installation of the slabs, the total area converted from impervious pavement to pervious crushed stone is about 563 square feet. And the black box right here on the map depicts the approximate location of this work. And the third component is the installation of the pipeline and conduits from the newly installed generator and communications building to the existing Enbridge and Eversource facility located north. So didn't have room for the location, but it's essentially everything else that's right over here. And so most of that is within the 50 and the 100-foot buffer. And the way this is going to be installed is using the open trench direct bury method, which is excavating the trench. That's going to be about 10 feet wide, 4 feet deep. Again, all soils will be removed using a vacuum truck and hauled off site immediately. Pipe will be laid and joined and then backfilled with clean sand and fill. No more than 80 to 100 feet of the trench will be open at any time. And usually the trench is filled and area repaved at the end of each workday. If for some reason the trench needs to remain open, steel plates will be placed on top of it. And the proposed trench is outside of the 20-foot buffer. So the proposed work, the purpose of all this work is to support and maintain the most efficient and safe control of the existing facility, and also to ensure that the station is working efficiently and continues to provide energy to the surrounding community. And Eversource has carefully designed and cited this work to avoid and minimize impacts to the resource area to the greatest extent possible. Multiple locations were considered, with this proposed location selected as the best alternative because it allows for the safest access to the equipment and fulfills the egress-ingress requirements. The proposed work will not alter or fill any wetlands. All work will occur within the existing paved surfaces within the existing fenced-in facility. There'll be no change in grade, no tree removal, and other than the portion of work that's going to convert pavement to gravel, all other temporary disturbed areas will be restored to pre-construction conditions. So the summary of project impacts there will be about 750 square feet of temporary disturbance within the existing paved surface during the conduit installation, and there will be the reduction of existing impervious surfaces on site by approximately 563 square feet. Because the project proposes the conversion of impervious paved surfaces to pervious crushed stone, this project is subject to the Massachusetts Stormwater Standards, which we addressed in the narrative. And it's important to note that the project will not result in an increase of impervious area, nor will it result in any grade changes. And as proposed, the project will reduce impervious surfaces cover by about 563 square feet. which will be an improvement to the area and will benefit the nearby wetland that currently receives overland flow from the paved surface. So here are the engineering plans depicting the work. And as you can see, this small corner right here is within the 25-foot buffer. This is the only corner where it is. And this corner consists of the removal of pavement and replacing with gravel. There aren't any conduits within that 25-foot, or no other work within this 25-foot buffer. This kind of cross section right here, this is all trench work for the conduits that will be repaved back to existing grade. Here are some photos of existing conditions. Sorry, talking a lot. The top left photo is the area where the pavement will be removed. I tried to outline it with the approximate location with that black box. There is an existing fence line surrounding all three parcels, and this fence line will not be touched. It'll be left in place. The bottom left photo is another view of where the pavement will be removed and generator installed. Erosion controls are proposed along the fence line, so along right here and down here to protect the wetland. The top right photo is a view of wetland W2 that we keep talking about. And the bottom right photo shows the main entrance to the facility that will be used as the construction entrance. So during the duration of the project, best management practices will be applied. Erosion controls and catch basin inlet protections will be installed prior to commencement of work and will remain in place until the duration, until the disturbed areas are all stabilized and everything's repaved. There will be no work beyond the erosion controls, no storage of fuels or overnight parking of vehicles within 100 feet of wetlands. And if dewatering is necessary, it will be located greater than 100 feet from any water body and outside of the wetlands. And like I said, other than the conversion of paved to gravel, all other disturbed surfaces will be restored to pre-construction conditions. So paved over, same grade. And in addition, SWCA will be performing weekly environmental compliance inspections throughout the duration of the project to monitor construction activities for compliance with jurisdictional resources and just throughout the site to make sure there's compliance. So Eversource is hoping to begin this project as soon as possible, hopefully in the spring, and we anticipate it will take about 4 months to complete. Again, the best management practices will be implemented for the duration of the project, and all work will be accessed and performed from the existing driveway and pavement layout. All work will occur entirely within the limits of the existing paved area and the existing fenced-in gas facility, and the project will fully comply with the Wetlands Protection Act. Just a small portion of the proposed work is located within the 25-foot no-touch zone, but it will consist of converting impervious paved area to a pervious one that will promote groundwater recharge. So Eversource is seeking an order of conditions and a waiver pursuant of the Brockton Conservation Commission filing requirements and regulations from the Brockton Conservation Commission for this project. And I know I talked a lot. I tried to fit it into the 15 minutes. So please let me know if you have any questions or if you want to see any slides.
Oh, no, you did great. I also forgot to mention before opening up that I just wanted to confirm that confirmation of a butter notification in Mass DEP file number was on file.
Yes, we did receive a butter notification. Proof the butter notifications were sent, and Mass DEP did issue a file number along with some technical comments about the stormwater report. We can get into that in a minute. Okay.
All right. And any questions for the commission members?
I have a question. What is a geotextile materials?
Yep. So it is a fabric that can allow water to filter through, but it also, if there's any sediment, it kind of captures the sediment. So the water that filters through is fairly clean. That's
what is it actually made out of? That's, I think, my question.
That I might have to get back to you on. I'm not sure unless Jen or Anna, if you guys know.
I'm not exactly sure, but I feel like it might be made out of natural fibers. But we can definitely check.
Okay, I was just
Just so
curious.
you know, Eversource has a policy to only use biodegradable erosion controls too.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And Kyle, you can just give us your agent report on this.
Yeah, sure. So Polina did a great job summarizing the project. I don't have much to add to the project summary. A couple administrative things, though, that I think we should address. And this is at the beginning of the agent report. So one thing that Polina, kind of referenced was at the very end, they're seeking kind of a waiver for one of the local filing requirements, which is normally we require with a notice of intent filing that the applicant provide the green municipal lien certificate from the city, basically saying that there are no outstanding taxes or debts that have accrued on the property. And because this is this project site comprises two parcels that are owned by Eversource and a third parcel that's owned by a different party. They are not sure if they can legally disclose that information, so they're just kind of asking that we waive that requirement for this filing. And I addressed that in the agent report. And I think there's no problem with that if the commission's comfortable with that. DEP did issue some technical comments. Basically, it's kind of a DEP basically stated that the applicant didn't submit the proper documentation for a stormwater report that is signed by a registered professional engineer. I spoke to someone at DEP kind of about this comment, and they said it's kind of a gray area because there's a low impact as far as we're converting existing impervious to pervious area. And we're not installing. This is classified as a redevelopment project rather than a new development, and that they're not installing any new stormwater features. Whether or not a stormwater report is, I mean, it's technically required, and that's not included here. The applicant did include a whole section in their application going through the stormwater standards, which is normally what would be included in the stormwater report. So we're kind of there's kind of a gray area here if the commission is comfortable, issuing the order of conditions without that stamped stormwater report. If you are willing to accept the stormwater management practices that were included in the notice of intent application. If the commission does choose to issue an order of conditions, there's always the possibility that Mass DEP will review this and kind of issue a superseding order of conditions if they think that stormwater report should have been included. But again, that's kind of up to the commission's discretion. And that's really all that I've got as far as comments. I think Paulina did a great job of summarizing the project. And I did, if the commission does choose to issue an order of conditions, I did include a few special conditions that we would include in the order. And those are at the bottom of at the agent report, basically detailing the type of erosion control. The notice of intent application kind of leaves it up to the commission. So I've just stated what we would want, which is a 12-inch diameter compost-filled biodegradable silt sock, and then requiring that the applicant provide the Conservation Commission contact information for their environmental monitor who will be on site every week. And then finally, that we're not confirming the wetland boundaries for wetlands W1 and wetlands W3, and just the BVW wetland W2. And that's all I got.
Okay. Commissioners, any thoughts from you guys
I have
on
a
the
question for Kyle.
stormwater requirement? Any feedback from you guys?
I have a question for Kyle. I thought I just read recently that we should not be issuing notice of intents if there are still issues that have to be addressed. Did I read that memo wrong?
You may be referring to that document that we just approved earlier tonight. One of the things that's always been a part of the filing information and regulations is that the commission will not issue an order of conditions pending receipt of any additional material. So if they have to provide an updated map or some other documentation, it's written into the rules and regulations that the commission will not issue whatever permit, or order of conditions pending receipt of any material. So that's kind of what that may be what you're thinking. I'm not sure. Does that sound right?
Yes, that is what I was thinking of. Okay, thank you for clarification.
Yeah, sure.
I have a question also for Kyle. If we do as a commission decide that we do want the stormwater report about, that just pushes this to the next meeting if they get it in time. I'm assuming since they had all that information in a different section, it should be pretty easy to make the stormwater report.
Yeah, presumably, yeah, that would be my assumption that they could get that to us by the next meeting. And Paulina is raising her hand. I mean, the commission, Ruby.
Yeah,
I-
I'd like to add to that, and being consistent with the developed rules of the commissions and filings, I do feel that we need to require the storm water report as well as the conditions that you laid out and the recommendations. I think if we do that, we're just, everybody's just being consistent to what the process is. Yep. It looks like Paulina and Elise has their hand raised. Elise, you can, I think you raised your hand first if you have a comment.
More or less, I was just gonna say, and Paulina, sorry, might be able to add to this. As far as the typical stormwater requirements go, right? For a project like this, they provided the stormwater narrative, which so a full-blown stormwater report is not something that would typically be, seen for something like this. I think the DEP comment and where there might be a bit of the hang up is specifically the stormwater checklist. And that is something that's usually a literal checklist that says, checks off redevelopment and just is something that accompanies a narrative or a stormwater report that would be signed by a professional engineer. But, in consideration also of like how Kyle said he talked to DEP, this is a very basic project. But I think that would be really the legal requirement as far as DEP is concerned is having a checklist that accompanies these standards that is certified by a professional engineer. With that said, though, I'll defer to Paulina, but I don't believe, a full stormwater report is something that the commission would want to require for a project like this. But I do think, as far as the checklist goes, that is still up to the commission as far as how they want to go with that. And Paulina,
Okay, thank
go
you.
ahead.
Thank you, Elise. Yep, Paulina.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on it. So this is pretty minor work, and it's an existing paved area that would reduce impervious surfaces overall, and it would not alter topography. So we're not creating new impervious surfaces. We're reducing it, and we're not changing the grade. So we did address the standards in the narrative, and we just thought hiring an engineer to do the detailed calculations, which is what the stormwater report is just a lot of math and calculations of stormwater flow, seemed kind of excessive for this minor activity, which will create a net reduction of impervious surfaces. And we did reach out to DEP and we to the DEP reviewer, who she kind of said that, again, kind of like what Kyle said, it was kind of a gray area, and she was kind of forced to make that comment because we did check off the box that stormwater standards are applied, but she did also say that DP would ultimately leave it up to the discretion of the commission as to whether to require a report for this project. So hope that kind of clarifies or explains something.
So are you able to get a checklist like Elise averted to, and then we just sign off on that? Does that take care of everything, even for DEP, and it not be such a gray area, but that'll just take care of whatever requirements anybody's looking for? Would that be something we'd be able to get?
Well, the stormwater report also, it runs a lot of calculations, like detailed calculations of just stormwater flow through the project. So we would need to get an engineer and get that done.
Even for the checklist, you'd have to get the check.
Yeah, the checklist is kind of just literally a form where you check off boxes. Did you fill out the standards? Did you do this? What's applicable? What's not applicable? So I don't know how
Okay.
much information that would provide to you.
Yeah, the checklist is something that's typically stamped by a professional engineer, basically just certifying that everything that is said about the project relating to the standards is accurate. But I think to Paulina's point about DEP is, it sounds like, and Kyle can confirm this with his conversations as well, that it might be deferred kind of to the commission. They do discuss the standards, which is kind of taking place of that report aspect. But the checklist aspect is usually that certified portion. But again, there isn't a lot to do as far as there's a lot of changes to existing conditions at the site. So again, up to the commission. But if a checklist is required by the commission, it is something that they would have to have an engineer for. If that may or may not help.
All right.
Just to clarify.
Any other questions? Okay. Nope, that's fine. Thank you. Any other comments from the commission members in regards to this? Nothing from, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak in regards to this project? No hands? No, nothing, Kyle?
No, I don't see any hands being raised for public comment.
All right, so.
I did want to just make one mention. On page 7 of their report, they did list the stormwater standards, and all of them are met that apply, and there are some that are not applicable to this project. So I feel comfortable with the stormwater requirements being met, because as they make in their last statement, that the project complies with WPA, no adverse impacts to adjacent wetland are proposed. And the proposed work will remove the existing paved area and convert it to an area that will promote groundwater recharge. And so after reading this, I felt comfortable with the stormwater standards being met.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that feedback, Peggy. So do I hear a motion to issue an orders of condition for the Eversource Brockton Gate Station Modernization Project?
Sure. I make a motion to issue an order of conditions with the special conditions outlined in the agent's report.
I'll second that motion.
And roll call vote, please.
Curtis, aye.
Green, aye.
Aye.
Clay, aye. Motion is passed.
Kyle, thank you, everybody. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Paulina.
Kyle, would you mind emailing me a copy of the order of conditions and mailing it to the SWCA office, please? I don't know if did you, hello?
Kyle, did you hear?
No, sorry. I think I was having an internet connection problem. I think I'm back now.
Oh, you are. I wasn't sure. I have been having Zoom issues, so I wasn't sure if it was me. I was wondering if you could send the order of conditions to the SWCA office in Southborough, and if you don't mind sending me a electronic copy as well, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, and then next on the agenda, we have the extension request for 159 Torrey Street, the solar array project.
Yes, and I believe we have someone in the attendees that is here to speak to this project.
Good evening. This is Mike Pattison. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. Hello to the board. Okay. So yes, we're requesting an extension for our original order of conditions that was approved May 12th of 2021. Unfortunately, due to some unforeseen delays in the approval process for our electrical interconnection and issues with National Grid, we were unable to begin construction, and now our order of conditions is about to expire. So, as I said, we're just requesting extension. I could represent the project, or how would you like me to continue?
Kyle, what is your
Yeah, sure. I
feedback
can
on?
jump in here real quick. So this kind of came in pretty late last week. So that's why there's not a formal agent report for this project. Like Mike said, basically there is the approval for the installation of a solar field at the. I'm sorry, Mike. What's the name of the golf course there?
It's Thorny Lee Golf Club at 159 Torrey Street.
Oh, am I having internet problems again?
Uh-oh, I think so. Oh, I think you're back.
All right. Okay. So I'm not sure where I cut out. Mike, what's the name of the golf course?
It's Thorny Lee Golf Club.
All right. Thank you. So this is the northern portion of their property. It's currently just a farmed agricultural field. It hasn't been farmed since the issuance of the order of conditions, but up until 2021, it was just a farmed field. And the approved project was for the installation of a solar field in that area. I went out on site actually this morning, and no work has been started there at this point. But as Mike had mentioned before, they just kind of ran into a lot of different problems with basically with tying it into the electrical grid. There was some turnover with the board that directs the golf course, and it just was kind of one thing after another. I spoke to the general manager of the golf course this morning, and he said that they don't want to do construction during like the peak golf time during the summer. So the earliest that this would begin would be this fall sometime, or early next spring, before that kind of peak golf season in the middle of summer. So I think the applicant doesn't request a specific time frame to be extended, but the commission can extend this project for up to 3 years, and I think a 3-year extension would be appropriate for this project.
Okay. And any questions from the commissioners on this?
I think all of us are new and none of us were here in 2021, so I would be very curious as to hear what the project entails, if you wouldn't
Absolutely.
mind.
Absolutely. Let's see here. Let me just try to adjust my screen. And then I can present our site plan if that would be agreeable.
Yep.
Hold on. Let's see. Share screen. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so our proposed project. So the current property is at 159 Torrey Street. As we Kyle had stated it is in the northern portion of the property. This current portion right here, originally it's been owned by the country club for a while, and it was being leased out to, I believe, Jerry's Farm, which is north of this property. And then they stopped leasing and he stopped farming it. So now we are looking to utilize it. The proposed project, it is located in R1C zoning district. It is a vacant 6-acre farm area with a sewer easement running through the eastern side and a material and soil storage area on the southern side. The proposed solar array is a 1,029 kilowatt DC, 498 kilowatt AC ground mounted solar array. It consists of 1,872 solar panels that will be ground mounted with a 415 kilowatt, 1,600 kilowatt hour DC coupled battery energy storage system. As you can see here, in this area here, there's 2 concrete pads, which will the battery system as well as the other utility electrical equipment will be mounted. Let's see here. As you see, there's a small access. There is a 20-foot wide gravel access road right here. Maintenance access would be along this access road here. There's a locked gate off of Thorny Lee Terrace. So, excuse me, maintenance access would be here. Per the Zoning Board of Appeals, all construction access is going to be accessed through the golf club's park path from off of West Street. And I can scroll down to that. So here's West Street here. Part of their the country club's cart path is here. And it comes west and then up north through it to connect with the property over here. Excuse me, I apologize. As Kyle stated, the country club does not want us doing any type of construction work during the golf season. So this is why they want us to do is winters, because all of construction vehicles have to access through their golf cart path across their property. Okay, back to the first page. So, as you can see, there is wetlands on the basically surrounding the property. We are within the 100-foot buffer zone. We are outside of the 25-foot no-touch area. Important to note that it elevates, it starts from the northwest down to the southeast. The elevation falls. So any type of like rainwater would basically flow from the northwest down to the southeast. And then also in this area right here, there is an existing berm from this area here on the southwest that follows the southern side. And currently the water basically directs into the wetlands. Let's see. That. And then also off of West Street, the utility connection would come off of West Street across part of their property, the country club's property, along the border. It'll be underground from the West Street. It'll have multiple poles here in this area, and then it will be an underground along the perimeter of their property and to connect to the solar array. So all power that was created will be diverted from there to the grid. Okay. Is there any questions I can answer?
Yep. Yeah. Any other questions from the commission members?
I have a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
One question I had was just because I was curious. You mentioned there's an existing berm. What is the berm made out of?
I believe it's just an existing dirt berm My understanding, I've looked at it from aerial views, it looks like a hill and it's covered in grass and other vegetation.
Okay. And then so you mentioned the solar arrays will be ground mounted. Could you just talk a bit more about like the process of, I guess, just mounting the solar arrays and how that just how that affects just the grading and just the ground, I guess?
My understanding is and I apologize. So I have my engineer here. If he could raise his hand, then we could give him access. He'd be able to talk about something like the civil work. Rick, could you raise your hand so they can see you?
Yeah, I'm promoting him right now.
Okay. All right. He may be having some difficulties. I know he was at another hearing somewhere else, so he's currently sitting in his car in a parking lot somewhere trying to access the meeting. So I apologize. Usually, what it is they will dig boreholes and they will insert concrete piers into the ground, and then they attach a metal racking system. So it's metal racks that are connected across the property. And then the solar panels are attached to the metal racking. Regarding grading, I believe it's quite limited the amount of grading. We're trying to disturb as little of the area as possible.
I may be on here now, Mike. Is this working now?
Hey, there he is.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, as Mike had mentioned, we're not making any drastic changes to the existing grade. We do want to scrape off some of the loam there roughly to put in the connections to the ground, and then everything gets covered with crushed stone over the entire surface. And we do carve in a couple of drainage basins. During the review and approval 3 years ago, we had submitted stormwater calculations demonstrating no increased runoff for the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storm events. We did provide attenuation with some storage and infiltration on site. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Are all commissioners satisfied with the responses we've received? So I like to hear a motion to provide a 3-year extension to the solar array project for 159 Torrey Street.
Make a motion. Plus it went right out of my head to do a 3-year extension for 159 Torrey Street.
I second the motion.
Right. Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye.
Map I.
Clay, aye. So Kyle, the 3-year extension would just be till 2027, correct?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
2027.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Thank you guys for presenting and giving us that information.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. So now we are, oh yeah, so the number 5 is extended to the May meeting as well as 6. So I think now we're at 7, the ANRAD for 0 Toby.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, and then hold on one second. Let me just get myself together here. And the confirmation that abutters is notified and all that. This is
So
this is a continuing. Yeah, right. Okay.
Right. So we've already done that when this was first opened last fall.
Yep.
Yep, and I know one of the engineers is here from W Engineering, so I'm going to go ahead and promote Evan.
Okay.
Hello, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, very good. Ready to go, then I will share my screen and present the plan. Okay, on my screen is the plan that we submitted along with the updates that were requested by Beta, the consultant. So it's a piece of property that's really the only paved road is North Quincy Street. And then there's a road that wasn't constructed, Toby Road. And so that's why you see this is referred to Toby Road. There's two parcels. This one in the front was looked at. There was no resource areas here. And then in the back, we have a couple resource areas. We have, starting from left to right, we have the D series. This flows off-site and then has little man-made ditch that was dug by somebody, not the property owner, which lets water flow kind of into this electric easement here. And if you look at the topography, there's a high point in here about 180. Everything flows down in this direction on both sides. It creates this valley. And so we have the A series of flags, which is shown here with the 50, 25, and 100 foot buffer zones. And then finally, there's another high point somewhere as about here. And then it flows this way to the east. And we have the B and C series, which are BVWs that are associated with this brook over here on the side, which we have delineated the bank conditions with the bank flags, and then we show the 25-foot riverfront. I think on my last plan, I incorrectly showed a 200-foot riverfront, forgetting that we're in Brockton. So Beta had a few comments. First, they wanted to make sure that the commission did not approve flags that were off the property. So we've revised the plan to show those flags in grayscale, just to help us out when we look at that. And I think they had a recommendation of what flags to not include. Another thing that they asked us to do was take a look at this ditch that was in the D series over here. DEP brought it up as well. However, it's off the property. So, if we delineated it, it wouldn't be approved anyways because it's not on the property. And it's not a perennial stream, and there's no riverfront associated with it. It would just be a perennial stream within a resource area. And then the other spot they mentioned was there was a small ephemeral flow here at C33. Again, it's within this BVW, the C series. So delineating that would not necessarily increase the limits of the resource area delineation. They recommended that the commission could cite in the ORAD that it exists, but it wasn't delineated because it's within the resource area anyhow. I think they also mentioned that there was some standing water somewhere in the A series and may or may not have be a potential vernal pool. And they just recommended that the commission note that that has not been evaluated, which we're fine with as well. And then lastly, they indicated that there may be some small, and I don't know exactly where it is. I suspect it's these little small puddles right here that's had some wetland vegetation in it, but it was of a size that was small and it was not connected to another resource area. It doesn't border on any other resource areas. So it's a isolated non-jurisdictional area. So they spoke about that, but didn't ask us to flag that or do anything with it because it would be just a non-jurisdictional wet area. And I believe Kyle took a look at the plan and the recommendations. He had a report as well. So I'd be happy to hear that report and then answer any questions that the commission may have or any information from any abutters that may have some input as well.
All right. How do you give a report on this property?
Yeah, sure. Hopefully my internet holds out. Evan did a pretty good job of summarizing Beta's comments. In my agent report, I just kind of rehash exactly what Evan said as far as Beta's suggestions as far as what the commission should issue as far as findings. So those are all listed on the agent report. Again, Evan kind of went through each of those things just now, so I won't rehash that. But everything else that Beta was that commented on was more administrative, and so all of those concerns have been addressed. So I think that the commission has the information required to issue the order of resource area delineation. I will just make a comment that Elise is here from Beta if the commission has any questions for Beta specifically. And then also before we close the hearing, we should also open this up for public comment.
Okay. Any commissioners have any questions or comments? Any questions for Elise?
I don't have any.
Okay.
I see Elise has her
Yeah,
hand
I think we're
raised.
Madam Chair.
yes.
I just wanted to make one point of clarification. Evan did summarize everything. I did see the plans and we agree with everything. Just one point of clarification. So the isolated wetland that was observed on site, it is not WPA, Wetlands Protection Act jurisdictional, but it is still considered to be a water of the Commonwealth, which is something we suggested be reflected in a special condition. So just as a point of clarification, it's not Wetlands Protection Act jurisdictional, but it is jurisdictional under the MA Clean Water Act, or Section 401.
Okay.
Just as an overall thing, but as far as this issuance of an ORAD is concerned and the Wetlands Protection Act regulations, it would be non-jurisdictional. But that was my only addition.
Thank you, Elise.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, thank you. And any public comments?
Yes, we have Councilor Lally. Let me promote him to panelist.
All right, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Man, that promoting to panelist suspense is crazy. I'll be brief. I want to just express my appreciation to our conservation agent and the Conservation Commission for their effort and their due diligence. This isn't a project, at least for now. But after the last couple of meetings we've had, the applicant's lawyer did contact me before any plan is proposed. I've asked them to agree to a meeting with the neighbors to hear their concerns and see their input. So, just that, wanted to, make that known to the commission and to express my appreciation for your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Lally. So do I hear a motion to issue the order of resource area delineation?
Pardon me, Madam Chair. We'll have to close the public hearing first, and then we vote to issue the order.
Oh, close the pub. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. I'd like to. Do I hear a motion to close the hearing on 0 Toby Road.
I issue the motion to close the hearing for 0 Toby Road.
I second that motion.
Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye.
Snap, aye.
Clay, aye. Motion to close the hearing's been granted, and then I can now make the motion to issue the order of resource area delineation.
Yes, now is that time.
Okay. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to issue the
Just a point
order of resource.
Point of clarification here, Madam Chair. I don't know that you should be making the motion. You can entertain a motion and then have someone.
Entertain a motion. Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to entertain a motion for the order of resource area delineation.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of resource area delineation for 0 Toby Road.
I second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Curtis, I.
Green, aye.
Snap, aye.
Clay, aye.
Thank you very much.
And just for the record, that's to be including the findings that are issued in the agent report. Those will be included in the
Correct. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, have a good night. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then looks like number 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all continued. So that brings us to the 13 and 14 as well, I'm sorry. And that brings us to the enforcement orders.
Yeah, that is correct. I've got a couple updates for the commission on a couple of these. So the first one, if I may, number 15, which is 1507 Main Street.
Yep.
So this is the Brewster's ambulance property that they kind of paved a wetland area in the back. We've been working with them to get a restoration plan put together. They had an environmental consultant go out on site and develop kind of just a report to see what damage has been done, what the current state of the property is, and a couple potential pathways of remediation that they could go down. That's where we were about a month ago. Since then, you may recall that this was kind of a dispute between the property owner themselves and like the neighbor who actually did the work, because the neighbor had asked if they could like park some trucks on their lot, and they actually did this extension themselves. So it's actually going to be the neighbor who is doing the work. I was just in contact with the representative from Brewster Ambulance, who's kind of managing this for them, and he had been in contact with the neighbor. The neighbor was going to have a relative come down from somewhere and kind of handle everything with a backhoe over the weekend. So thankfully that was we put a stop to that. The Brewster's ambulance representative said, informed the neighbor that no, there's a whole process to this. And he put the neighbor in touch with the people that did the restoration report initially. So hopefully, the people that did the environmental evaluation will be on site in the next week or so to begin developing that restoration plan, and then fingers crossed we may get that next month. But that's kind of where things are with that. So we are moving in a positive direction with the 1507 Main Street.
Okay.
57 River Street is the next one, agenda item number 16. We have reached out to them. The owner of the property did attend a meeting 4 or 5 months ago and expressed interest in working with the commission. But since then, I've not had any contact with them. I've emailed multiple letters and just nothing. So I've been in contact with the law department, with the city of Brockton Law Department, and they advised me to issue one last letter 10 days ago today, stating that, attend this meeting in 10 days, or we're going to refer this to the law department. So at this point, there's no one here to speak to this. So I will be referring this to the law department tomorrow. And then finally, 28 Howard Square. This is the that residential lot that had just all that trash and debris that was kind of in the river area behind the home. They've done some work with us to remove a lot of that trash already. Last month, I gave you an update that they had kind of moved a lot of the lumber that they had stacked on one side of the property and created kind of an ad hoc fence along the waterway. Obviously, that's not something we can allow to stand, but there was some concerns about safety as far as the children. So there's talk about maybe actually going through a permitting process and getting an actual fence built back there to kind of serve as that function. That would be away from the waterfront, the riverfront area. Right now, that kind of wooden stockpile fence is just on the bank, basically. So we would obviously have them move that up out of the riverfront area. But I've just not had any luck contacting that primary resident there since March 15th. I've reached out a couple times. So I'm going to continue to try to do that over the next month. And I've got some other people that I can reach out to that are able to make contact with this individual. So I'm going to attempt to do that over the next month, and we'll see where things lie in May.
Okay.
Any questions about any of those 3 enforcement orders?
No, none from me.
Okay, I have
Commissioners?
one more comment. Oh, I'll wait. I'm sorry. Nope. Okay. Madam Chair, when we voted on the Conservation Commission filing information and regulations at the beginning of the meeting, I just want to make sure that we do this correctly. I think that you proposed that vote, and I'm not sure that that's like strictly the way that the vote should work. So should we do another vote where you entertain a motion and it's
Yep.
made and seconded, and then we do an actual vote? Because I'm not sure the other one is like binding.
Is that the first one?
This is
that the first item on the agenda?
This is for number 2, the Conservation Commission filing information and regulations.
Okay, all right. Okay, so for the number 2 Conservation Commission filing information and regulations, I'd like to entertain a vote for that.
I'll make a motion to file the Conservation Commission filing information and regulations as stipulated by Agent Holden.
And just for the record, this is the one that's dated April 2024. Thank you.
Dated April 2024.
I second the motion.
Roll call vote.
Curtis, aye.
Green, aye.
Map aye.
Clay, aye.
All right, thank you. And that's all I've got this evening, unless there are any other questions or comments.
So, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Roll call vote.
Curtis, aye.
Green, aye.
Map aye.
Clay, aye.
Good night, everyone. Have a good week.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks, Lise.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Lise.
Good night.